Good evening, ladies of aspiring businesswomen and everybody else who might be tuning in and watching us. My name is Claire Carrington, co-founder of Aspire Businesswomen, and with me is Emma Lowe, who I've never spoken to before, so this is a first for me and for you guys. However, I think you might have been doing some work with some people that we may know, and you are a marketing lady.
I am indeed, yes. Evening, everyone.
So I'm quite excited about this. Well, not excited, but I've been looking forward to talking to you about marketing because it is such a minefield for people who are new to business, who have got a small business. And one thing people always say to me is, I've printed off all these lovely leaflets. And I go, nah, why did you print leaflets? Because personally, if leaflets come through my door, they go in the bin. So can you give us some basic tips for people who are small business owners who are starting out?
I would say one of the first things that I would ask a small business owner is, who are you targeting? So who are you trying to sell your product to, and why that person or that type of person? Because a lot of the time when you speak to different small businesses, then, well, business of any size to be honest, but they often have like a really big target market as to who they're trying to who they're trying to speak to and why. When actually it's very specific. When they actually drill down and they kind of think about what they're trying to sell, who they're trying to sell it to, and why, then they actually end up with quite a small targeted market. And small isn't bad. It just means you'll get a better standard of customer, and that's what you want. You want the best customers.
Yeah, it's better targeting 100 people who are the right audience than targeting 1,000 and only 10% doing it, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely quality over quantity.
What's your background? How are you doing? Is Hello Marketing Consultancy your business?
Yeah, so my background is I've been in marketing for about 20 years now. So for most of that time, I was working for some big global corporations, doing marketing of all types, basically. And then for the past 18 months, I stepped out on my own. So I'm now a small business owner. And one of the reasons for that was I was tired of the corporate world. It's very political, and it's just not my scene, basically. I'm too old for that now. And so I just feel that with my knowledge, then I just want to help businesses. I feel that marketing for me is something I've always done. It's what I have a passion in. It's what I believe in. And it doesn't have to be difficult. Some people think it's either too complicated or they can make it a little bit too simple, when actually you just need to look at a few basics, get your basics right, and be out there consistently and regularly. And then it's, from my perspective, quite simple.
So you mentioned that you've worked with big corporations and now you're working with smaller businesses. What's the biggest difference in a marketing strategy from a big corporation to a small business?
To be honest, from the strategy perspective, there's very little difference. No. All the questions are the same. Everything that you need to consider is the same. It's just the level at which you apply it. You're probably going to be applying it on a much smaller level, and that will mainly be because of budget.
I was just about to say, budget is probably the biggest difference.
Yeah, and it is, and that's to be expected. But that's not to say from the big global corporations, they have a lot of budget, but whether they always spend it right, well, that's a different question. But from a small business point of view, you're more likely to be more wary of how you spend your budget. So that means that you should theoretically think a little bit more about where you're placing your money, and then really look at what you think you're going to get from it. And it's kind of assessing why you're going to be doing that activity and what you actually want that customer to be doing. So if you're doing social media or blogging or Facebook or anything, then you need to think of what your call to action is going to be, whether it's just raising your brand, whether it's that you actually want to generate product sales, you want to increase your followers. There always needs to be an end objective in mind. And that's the same for any kind of business that you are, no matter if you're just a sole trader or you're a multi-million-pound corporation.
Absolutely. So you mentioned, we touched on budgets. If a business had 300, a small business like ourselves had 300, £500 to spend on marketing, what would you say are the key elements? Because we've got Facebook ads, we've got Instagram ads, we've got spending it on SEO and Google Ujima flips and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got your old school radio, TV ads and all those kind of things, which I personally would think is a waste of money, but please tell me if I'm wrong. Where would you encourage people to look at doing their spending?
I wouldn't necessarily look at encouraging people to spend particularly on the social media side of things. I would encourage them to spend time on the social media side of things. But it is very much about where you think your target audience is. Now, they're not always going to be in the same place every time. You're always going to have some people be on social media. Some people will prefer advertising. Some people like to listen to radio adverts because that's why radio advertising is so popular. But you've got to think about where your core target market might be for the message that you want to put out there and what the best mechanism is to use to get that message across effectively. Social media might not be the right thing, and social media isn't suitable for every single type of business that's out there. Because there's some really, really niche businesses out there where social media, especially Facebook, for example, possibly isn't the right kind of medium to choose. But I would definitely think about...
Especially if your target audience is the older generation, then Facebook and social media isn't necessarily the best place.
No, it's not. And if you've got a certain type of B2B business as well. So B2B can work on Facebook, but it's definitely dependent on what your product is and who you're trying to attract within other businesses and who the decision maker is. So from the consumer point of view, then social media is probably more flexible. From a business to business point of view, then some social media channels are a bit more restrictive in terms of your audience that you can attract.
Okay, so Andrea's told me that I have to ask you about strategy. Is there like a marketing cycle where you seduce your clients and then you educate your clients, and then like before they actually make a sale, what points do they go through?
Yeah, there is a cycle, definitely. It will obviously differ a little bit according to what your customer journey is that you've defined for your business. But you definitely have to have that. You need to get your brand out there, and you need to have that awareness out there. And people need to be engaging with the brand on a regular basis before they will probably even think about either buying from you or wanting to deal with you in any way. And then when they make contact with you, it depends on how they make contact with you, but then it's how you respond as well and the ways in which you respond. Some people don't particularly like email marketing. I still feel it's a tool to utilize for your retention marketing. So you have your retention marketing prior to sale, and then you have your retention marketing after sale. And they work very differently. But yeah, your whole customer journey, the whole customer life cycle should effectively start with your brand, go through hopefully through to your sale or your service offering or whatever it is, and then almost repeat itself dependent on your product portfolio basically. So every touch point that you have with a customer needs to be reflective of your brand, and needs to be pointing them in the direction or encouraging them to go in the direction that you want them to go in basically.
I mean, there's so much to cover in like the 15-20 minutes we've got, and there's like so many things going. But no, I'm not going to go down my own personal route with you. And what could I do for this? And what could I do for that? I'm not going to do it.
That's fine.
For your personal journey, you've been doing this for 18 months. What's been the hardest part of leaving corporate and starting your own journey?
So I think the hardest part for me is defining, I suppose, almost what I do, because I do actually I cover quite a broad range of areas. So from social media and
I'm losing you a little bit.
Oh, is that okay?
I think you're back.
Is that okay?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's kind of explaining to people what it is that I do, because it's quite broad, and I think some people think it's too overwhelming for them, and then it's maybe too much for them, when actually it's just breaking it down step by step in terms of me helping them with their strategy, helping them with their messaging and their proposition. And it's not doesn't have to be a big daunting project or anything like that. It can just be little elements. So it's kind of educating people has been the key thing from my perspective, as to what it is that I do and how I work with people.
Okay, so what has been your biggest win to date?
There's been a couple. I think one of them is just getting an established client base in place has been great for me, in terms of for people starting to recognise what I do and understand how I work and things like that. And then just some nice wins where you can see things progressing with clients, and getting some great feedback, which is always nice. And just seeing things start to fall into place. So you put all these little plans in place, and then you start to see it all actually take shape and take action, and that's where I personally get like the satisfaction from it.
Okay, so if people wanted a meeting with you, how long would an initial meeting be, and what would they? Do you give them like a plan of action? Right, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, or do you implement it for them?
So I give an initial hour's consultation, but that would generally go to an hour and a half or so, where that's more of a fact-finding conversation, I suppose, as to where they're at with their business, and where they're looking to go. And then what I normally do is I will then come back to them with what I think the next step should be, whether that's from a planning point of view or a strategy point of view, whatever their main focus is. I probably ask a load more questions that I need to know, just so I can really dig a bit deeper into their business. And then I'll work with them to get a plan in place. So whether that's a strategy or an actual plan of action, and we define actually the next steps that we need to go through, then I'll work with them that way. And we can have as many meetings as needed to get to that point. Or I can just say to them, actually, this is what I think you need to do, and this is the reason why, this is how you can do it. And if you want to go ahead and do it yourself, you can do it yourself. Otherwise, I can almost hold your hand every step of the way and take you through to the final point of destination, basically.
And how long do clients tend to work with you for? Do they just do they do a month and go, oh, I know what I'm doing now? Or do you have it where they have to work with you for 6 months, or it's completely flexible.
It's completely down to the client and what they want to do. So with some clients, it's rolling month on month. And then I've got another couple of clients that are just like 2 months. So I've also got a long-term client that I've been working with for about 15 months or so now. And I do all of that. So it's just dependent on what the client wants.
Okay, cool. And you said you've been in marketing for quite a few years. You must see trends. Are there any trends we need to be looking out for?
I think the trend at the moment is voice search, voice activation.
What was that? Say that again.
Voice search.
Oh. No.
So basically, very soon. So such as what's the Google thing where you can? It sits in your room and you can get it to search for you by just asking it a question. A bit like Siri.
Amazon Echo.
Yeah.
Alexa. Yeah. Should be listening now. Yeah.
Yeah, Alexa. So all that kind of thing. But very soon, from an SEO point of view, then you're going to have to think about how you optimize your site and optimize all your content for voice searches, because people search when they're talking in a very different way from how they type in keywords. So that's going to be something that's still obviously in the younger stages from all of the
you're
right.
I've read an article about
that we need to be hot on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it's how about years it's going to be everywhere. Everything is voice search.
Yeah. Yeah,
Even
and
the
I think
kids
that's
are
going to
doing
change
it.
the landscape drastically. Yeah, the kids
My
are hot on it.
9-year-old
They're
knows
the
how
hot
to
ones on
voice
it.
it.
Yeah, but
It's
that's what they
crazy.
know, and this is the thing. Yeah, I know, it makes it so easy
Yeah.
for the younger generation now, and we have to kind of catch up, basically. So that's just how it is at the moment. So yeah, that's definitely the key thing that I think will be coming down the line quicker than what we think it will be.
Oh, blimey. There's so much to consider, isn't there?
There is,
Just
and
on your
it's
website
changing the
alone.
landscape all the time. Yeah,
It
there
is.
is. There is.
So how
Yeah,
do you keep
definitely.
up to date with the changes and things?
I have some key sites that I follow, and some key industry news and social media channels that I follow on a regular basis. There's some conferences that I go to in London every now and again, some marketing conferences, as and when I get the time. So it's just from that perspective, really. But I would say that a lot of what I do in terms of getting the right elements in place for a business, then they're actually fairly standard. It's just getting them in place in the right way so they mean what the right thing to the customer. And then everything else around it in terms of the channels that you use, you just kind of keep up to speed with it through various forums and blogs and things.
Yeah. My mind's already buzzing. So what's coming up next for you? Have you got any big challenges in the way? Is there an area of your business that you don't really like and you'd think, oh, I could do with somebody helping me out with that? What's going on?
My biggest challenge, well, two biggest challenges is time, which is always our challenge. And then secondly, I need to get more technical. So I want to start getting some modules in place for some online packages. So not everybody wants to see me face to face. And I need to start getting some videos in place, some webinars in place, everything like that basically, and get all the back end delivered on the website.
Like a plug and play.
That's my challenge. Yeah,
like
exactly.
a plug and play. So they buy it from you and do it in their own time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like small condensed versions of my face-to-face advice, I suppose. And obviously it's not as bespoke, but it's just getting the time to do that.
Isn't it always?
Yeah.
Well, our time is nearly up. If people want to contact you, will you, well, tell them now, but also put all your links in the comments below this when you've clicked off. Put all your social media and your website details as well. I'm assuming that you've got a web. Yeah, you have, because I've already looked at it. And your details are on our website as well. I checked that before I came online. I was like, oh, yeah, they are there.
Yeah, they are there.
It's been lovely meeting you, and slightly scary and worrying in that possibly half the stuff I should be doing that I'm not in any of the businesses. But I'll get there.
Don't worry. You will. Get there.
I'm sure there'll be people watching this thinking the same, like, I need an hour with her just to get me on the right track. So you never know, I might be in touch later this year.
I hope so. Please do.
Thank you, Emma, for your time.
To chat through anything. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
It's lovely to
speak soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hang on. It should be ending.